Welcome, everybody, to the H.O.P.E Maui broadcast. My name is John Kempf. I live here in Maui and coming to you live this morning on, Thursday, August 24th, 8:08 Hawaii time. And I just want to give you guys a little bit of an update, a little bit of perspective from the ground, where we're at, and what I'm personally working on. Let's see here. Currently, the Hungry Heroes of Hawaii organization and a large group of people here in the Maui community are working together with several other organizations on the ground to provide as much support and relief by delivering food and supplies and offering shelter and relaying information so we can help as many people as we can from the wildfires. The community efforts are going really well. It's actually been so beautiful to see the people coming together and mobilizing to offer support. There's so much beauty in this catastrophe, and yeah, it's been so much emotion to process, but also, again, so much beauty, so many people that I've never met before on this island that are leaders and really here with a heart to serve and to support this island, the people, and the community. And so that's been a real blessing for me personally to be able to connect with these other leaders and other humanitarians and just good humans that want to come together and provide whatever support they can. And so individually, that just looks like different members of the community coming together on the ground, having meetings and exchanging information and learning how we can be of best support. It's 2 weeks now. It's been 15 days, I believe, since the fire. And I think this might be the start of day 16. And we're gathering information. That's been a big part of the first couple weeks, is providing immediate relief as best we can and gathering information. Just looking at it from 16 days ago to now, the first several days specifically were really focused on relief efforts. And so we were gathering supplies of all kinds and making deliveries over to the west side, Lahaina, and the neighboring areas, and going to neighborhoods and families and just dropping off supplies and doing deliveries and getting as much as we could out there so they could utilize it without power and without cell service. So that was a big part of what we focused on in the beginning, is just getting food and water and immediate relief to the people in need, as we kind of figured out how bad it was and what we could do for community response effort. And as we started to organize, we started to all see the important things to focus on. Organization of the different checkpoints that have been set up has been really helpful. From seeing it on the first couple days, being down on the west side a lot, and then watching it progress, it was really beautiful to see the community come together to help organize relief efforts. And there were certain checkpoints over on the west side, parking lots and parks, where people started dropping off donations and supplies and food and water, and pop-up kitchens, started giving out food. And so that is part of the effort that we've been focused on, is delivering those supplies to the checkpoints and helping them get organized, as well as delivering the supplies to the families in need, going out and driving around, giving internet access through Starlink, and driving around with the Starlink in the truck, and then taking the food and the supplies with us as well. So just gathering information about where people are, how many per household, what they need, when they need it. And at this point now, we're taking all that information and organizing it into some digital structure where we can relay the information, contact lists and addresses, so we can do deliveries and so on. So the immediate relief effort has passed, and now we're moving more into the recovery effort, which is still a very, very important time, very sensitive time. There's still so much. It's really, really great to have this community, because there's so much to do, and there's not a lot of people that have the time and capacity and ability to coordinate this effort. So any support we can get is helpful, and more people are coming together and distributing the workload as we go, as we progress. But getting the structure set up and being able to relay the information to the different checkpoints and different organizations that we're working with and delivering supplies to is really important. That's what we're working on now. And the structure is going to help allow us to be able to direct the volunteer efforts to help create some kind of sustainable system for what we're offering right now, whether that's a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, the pop-up kitchens at Anahea Chapel being one of them, and another one that we're opening over on the west side, as well as the supply depot at Maui Harbor. Those are the locations that I'm currently personally helping to organize, and so we can get the hot meals and the supplies out to people in need. And we also have displaced people coming to Buzz's Wharf, the supply depot, and picking up supplies from us there. So we're just trying to provide that respite for people and offer them the supplies and food and water in this recovery phase, while the community has a larger conversation about temporary housing, that kind of next step. And just a number to be thrown out there that some of us have had an eye on is just being mindful of the 45-day mark. Now, I'm not the one that found out this information, but it came from a credible source that at day 45, the hotels will no longer host the displaced victims from the fire. So at day 45, which is essentially 30 days from now, coming towards the end of September, having land with temporary housing in place and food and supplies ready to go and be delivered to those locations, those temporary housing locations, is going to be critical. So that's what we're trying to do right now. We're just trying to mobilize the efforts of the community to prepare for that day 45 mark, and organize supplies to be able to provide for the people that are continuing to come more and more from the west side. A lot of people are staying in their cars. We've seen a lot of that. They lost their home. They got out with their car. They just filled it with what they could, and they're just driving around and staying in parking lots to save gas. So gas is another big one as far as a supply that we've been delivering, going out, especially in the beginning, and filling cars that had empty gas tanks so that people could get in their vehicle and leave and drive over to central Maui. So yeah, this is my brain dump for the day. We're just working on getting more structure and organization, especially on the back end, the digital end, so we can kind of automate and sustain a workflow that is distributed to the whole community. That's the larger efforts as we continue to work on. As a project that I'm helping to work on is to focus on getting the food from the farmers to the kitchens to the people. JERF, Just Eat Real Food. Anybody that knows me, that's my acronym, and so we're definitely working on creating that kind of closed loop system from the farmer to the kitchen to the delivery service, Meals on Wheels, to the families in need. There was a really good idea that came up in a leadership meeting a few days ago about a QR code where people could scan the QR code and go in and do orders, home orders or pickups. So yeah, we're looking at ways to store supplies and then deliver them. I see that as like the two, and then food, the kitchen, as kind of like the three business models right now that are what we're trying to focus on to create some stability. The storage supply, and then the kitchen restaurant model and pop-up kitchen, and the delivery service. Yeah, Buzz's Wharf, the tavern, where I've coordinated a majority of my efforts personally to help set up, is it's an old tavern. It used to be a restaurant, and the property managers we happened to meet, and they happen to know a couple other people in our community, and they're just really good people and have been really helpful offering up the space. So we've been utilizing that for the storage. We have 2 mats and containers on in the parking lot. We're looking at getting a couple more storage containers as well, and then we're also looking at opening up an outdoor kitchen, tented, covered outdoor kitchen at Buzz's Wharf, which is the next project. So we're just implementing this new operating procedure that I helped to create this week, and we're just going to test it out, and we're really trying to get it out to the public, to the community here on island, those that want to volunteer. There's a lot of people and a lot of resources, and the biggest thing that I've seen since day one is the mobilization and direction of the right use of that energy, those resources, and those people to create something that is sustainable for all of us, distributing that workload for all of us, because this is going to be something that, if our hearts feel called to this, it's something that's going to take quite a while. And so that's something that all of us have been considering, especially those in more of a leadership positions here that feel called to step up into a role of service. It's definitely a reorientation, a recalibration. Speaking with some of my close friends on it, if this is where my heart's called, then I'm going to have to take a look at my life, my former life 15, 16 days ago. It just is it feels like a different life. And so we're all in those positions out here. We're all working through the experience as well. Very, very strong emotions. And, we're doing our best to recalibrate to, some level of normalcy in our own nervous systems, to find balance and make sure that we're nourishing the other areas of our life, including ourselves, our relationships, our work, and so on. So it's a really interesting experience. It's been an incredible learning experience, to say the least. But the distribution of information and the infrastructure, I think, is going to be really, really important, just so that way we can communicate clearly and effectively between the different supply depots and checkpoints and food delivery services, so that way we can efficiently get the things that the people need to them. And yeah, that's I think my biggest download for where we're at right now. Next steps moving forward, again, just looking at that day 30 mark in 2 weeks of, can we have some level of stability through a structured system at that time, at least with the operation I'm helping to coordinate on the micro level. And I think everybody else is really having that same conversation in their different organizations. And then day 45 will be another 2 weeks from that point. And so I think that 2-week window is really going to be focused on temporary housing. We've got a lot of good progress on that. We've gotten some really good donations so far. Temporary housing units, portable solar showers, solar generators. We're just getting those supplies collected. And I believe that more and more will continue to come in. I know that they will. So it's just a matter of getting ready for that. We're looking into, warehousing, talking to different storage unit companies and seeing if anybody would be willing to donate space for this cause, so that way we can store bigger items and look at more of a warehousing operation if it scales. If that feels like it's where it's going to go, and what we scale into is working to organize a warehousing operation, that's also something that we're entertaining as an idea. But that 2 weeks, I think, is just going to be getting ready and assembling the spaces where we can host large groups of people in that kind of off-grid yurt, tiny home, temporary housing retreat center model. I think that's going to work really well. I think there's so many people out here that already are in tune with that vision. And so I think it's just a matter of getting the right people and the right ideas and the right resources together, of course, like anything. So, yeah, it's just a process that I see there evolving over the next 30 days of creating stability and structure in the organizations that are helping to provide relief and support and supplies, and then preparing ourselves for that next phase of temporary housing, and figuring out more what to do after we get out of the initial relief phase, where it's more consistent and precise deliveries to specific locations, rather than just taking an Army cargo truck full of supplies over to checkpoints and dropping it off, or going through neighborhoods, which did help a lot. We provided a lot of support doing that. We had caravans of trucks and SUVs, and we had Army cargo trucks filled to the top of supplies and food, and we were going and handing it out door to door. And there was a lot of people in need that we did deliver a lot of supplies to in that fashion. But I think it's going to continue to evolve to less of that bulk caravan model, and more of just a precise Uber Eats kind of model, where we have certain time periods when we we'll have the food ready, and then our delivery service picks it up and does a route. And if we can just start tracking that data digitally, one idea I had in the shower yesterday was just thinking about who are the meal delivery service companies in Maui that already exist, and could we create some kind of partnership with them to where we could have a professional team that already knows how to track it and has the infrastructure and everything set up to do that aspect of the business. Something like that would be super helpful as far as being able to take more, to get more done quicker and get more efficiency and supplies out to people. Yeah, we've got one good connection from the west side. Chris Ishizaka owns a shuttle van company, and he's been doing a tremendous job out there. I met him early on like day 3 or something like that, day 4, and he's been using a lot of the guys on his team had lost their houses in Lahaina, and so they've been using their vans to shuttle people and supplies back and forth from the west side to central Maui the whole time, and great connection. So we're looking. They were looking into, the last I spoke with Chris, he was looking into some form of digital tracking, inventory tracking device, whether it would be a phone or like what you would see like the UPS or FedEx guy. They've got one of those devices. I used to work in a warehouse for a year, so familiar with those guns and stocking and how those work. So I'm assuming it's some similar system to that. If we go into a warehouse model, that makes the most sense to me. I don't know enough about that. So again, we're just calling in people on the team, allies that if this resonates with anybody, anybody, just send them down the pipeline, because we need any support we can get. So yeah, the meal delivery service. I think that's everything I've got in the moment. Yeah, we're making really good progress. I really do believe that. I believe that a lot of the communities that are organizing are starting to get traction, which is just, we're all just having more conversations with people we've never met, but people that are highly skilled and highly passionate to show up and serve. So we're making progress in that way, and the team's coming together, and in conversation about the next steps with housing. That's probably the biggest focus, I think, for speaking to the world outside of Maui, is just starting to have the conversations about how we can mobilize resources to aid in the temporary housing efforts, as that becomes more and more of our focus right now. Another, as we continue to do these live broadcasts, I'll have better information and more structure to my delivery. This is going to be something that I'll continue to come on for this broadcast and give you guys an update. There's Fridays will be one of the only days that I won't be able to come on at this time and give you guys an update. But as I go, I'll continue to get more information and provide you guys with, more direction as far as how we can mobilize the community efforts, the larger community efforts to support. But I think I just want to take a moment to close this broadcast today with just a moment of reverence for the people of Maui and the people of Lahaina and the people that lost their homes up country or participated, engaged in, experienced this trauma in any fashion, because it was very dramatic. And so I want to honor everybody on this island. I want to acknowledge every human that was involved, and I give my Condolences and greatest respects to the families that have lost loved ones, to the families that have lost essential supplies and possessions in their homes, lost their pets, lost their land. We love you, Maui. We love you, Pachamama. Thank you for your grace as we move through this transition together, stronger than ever, unified with one collective intention to bring more health, happiness, and freedom to all beings. In honor of this event and all events that have tested humanity, may we rise. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate the support. There's so many opportunities to get involved. One of them is the Hope for Maui. You can donate, follow Hope for Maui on social media. You can also follow Hungry Heroes of Hawaii. That's the organization that we're directly involved with here on the ground, providing supplies and food and water to people in need. And you can learn more on their website. If you're on the ground or you want to come in to volunteer, there are opportunities to get free lodging and free transportation. There's companies that I've been in contact with that are offering those services for free to any volunteers. So there's many ways you can get involved. If you can't come to Maui, support through donating at hopeformaui.org or any other organization here directly on the ground that you can find through Hungry Heroes of Hawaii. If you have contacts that have any kind of business, organization, IT, back-end specialties, that's something that is really important right now for building a sustainable structure that we can implement with success for the long term over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. So setting up systems and doing so with clarity and structure is really important. And tell your friends, stay involved, keep checking in here. Be mindful of the news. There's a lot of stuff floating around as expected, and discernment. There's the stories aren't adding up, and that's okay. We still need to focus more on the solution rather than the problem. But be mindful of the information that you expose yourself to and the conversations that you have on these subjects moving forward. Just keep that unified intention to leave this place better than we found it, and talk more about the solutions than the problems. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate your time.